Welcome back. Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here. RadioFire.com. TheDiamondKShow.com. Wow. It is spreading and spreading and spreading. And even though this vaccine is on the horizon, this COVID-19 pandemic is far from over. Baltimore is closing restaurant, indoor, and outdoor dining and tightening up on the COVID-19 restrictions. This coming by way of our new mayor, Brandon Scott, announcing yesterday these COVID restrictions around the city as cases and hospitalizations continue to spike. So indoor and outdoor dining, restaurants, he's putting a halt to that. And it's because of this COVID. So the mayor is focusing on decreasing the capacity in some city businesses, meaning that there are going to be lines outside of the businesses. You know what I'm saying? You know how you go to Walmart, there's a line to get in because they have decreased capacity. Some businesses are going to be closed altogether. And the upping of these restriction indoor and outdoor gathering at both public and private facilities is really going to have an effect on a lot of things. Why is this happening? Well, for starters, there has not been any type of national strategy. And so you have different places doing different things. One of the most ignorant things that I've heard government officials say in other cities, not in this city, in other cities, is that, well, this is not happening here, so we shouldn't have to do any restrictions. And then all those places in middle America that were talking all greasy about restrictions early on, they're the ones that are getting hit the hardest right now. Because we haven't had a national strategy, we're seeing these spikes. Because some of our government officials take this serious and some of them don't. Even if they get it, many of them are not even taking it serious. So, the newest restrictions that were announced yesterday will go into effect tomorrow, Friday, at 5 p.m. So what's going to be affected? What are they going to do to slow the spread? Indoor gatherings at public and private facilities, private homes, and public space will be limited to no more than 10 people. It should not have been more than 10 people at those anyway. Right? We weren't in the clear, but our numbers were looking good, so people got reckless. Outdoor gatherings, public and private facilities will be limited to no more than 25 people. So inside 10 people, outside 25 people. Okay. Does that mean they need to be masked or not masked? Let's keep going. Sports gathering and facilities controlled by city parks and recs will be prohibited. So many of these things, many of their restrictions ended up being loosened because people started feeling what they call as the fatigue. And then they started putting pressure on and, so have you. Things got loosened up. Things started to spike again. And now we're here again. Who's to blame for this? Federal government, of course. Congress is to blame. What? And why do I say that? Congress is to blame for this reason. It's very simple. You want to tell people to stay indoors. You want to shut down businesses. Yet they have money to give folks, and they choose not to. The breaks and the money that they give are to businesses, big corporations who don't need it. Right? The working people are the ones who need relief. I don't like the word stimulus with regards to the money that working people are getting. Let me tell you why. It's not stimulating anybody if you give them $1,200. That's some relief. That's some temporary satisfaction to pay a couple of bills, but that's not stimulate anything. They use that kind of a word because they want you to think they're doing you a favor by giving you your money. This is the people's money. This is tax money. And the arrogance of some of the people in Congress to hold our money and walk around with their noses in the air about our money is insulting. But we let them do it. We let them do it. We let them go sit in Congress and not give recovery of our money back to the people who need it, but yet they want to shut things down. So yes, people are going to be upset. You're shutting things down and you're not giving them the relief, the recovery money that they need to hold them over while you tell them that they can't work. So, religious facilities shall not exceed 25% of that facility's maximum capacity. So churches are going to, they're going to start, calling, hey, wait, you can't, separation, church and state, what are you talking about? It's going to be that whole debate again. Retail stores and malls capped at 25% of the maximum capacity. Indoor recreation will be closed, including cigar and hookah bars, as well as adult entertainment venues. I didn't even know they were open. So everything's shut down. Personal service establishments will be capped at 25%. So that's like nail salons and barbershops, hair salons, that kind of stuff. I mean, what are you getting your hair done for? You can't go nowhere, right? The indoor services must be provided on an appointment-only basis and must log people with names and staff providing the services. This is for contact tracing purposes. They want to know who was in your place. They want to know who helped them in case people get sick so they can trace some of this stuff. Fitness centers, still open, will be capped at 25% of their maximum capacity. The casino will be capped at 25% of maximum capacity with no food or drink. So you know what that means? People ain't going to stay in the casino that long if there ain't no drinks. Ain't no food. If you can't get none of that pizza from the Horseshoe, I mean, what are we really here for? So, museums, the zoo, and the aquarium will all be capped at 25% capacity. Oh, yeah. Stuff run by the city, they can stay open 25%. Other things, other businesses, in some instances, don't get that luxury. You notice how most stuff controlled by the city, they get to stay open 25% capacity for the most part. Theaters and outdoor entertainment venues will be closed. I mean, who was going to the movie theaters anyway? So restaurants and other food service establishments will be closed to indoor and outdoor dining. However, carry out, delivery, and drive-through service may continue. So how long is this going to last? What are the metrics to determine when is it cool to have a hamburger inside of the restaurant? Brandon Scott said this: "We know that our restaurant industry has been one of the hardest hit by this pandemic." Definitely. The new mayor continued, "The city has been proactive in seeking ways to support our restaurant community." That's what he said. He also said, "When it comes to the well-being of our residents, I am not afraid to do the right thing over the popular one. This is about saving lives," Brandon Scott says. "Nothing more, nothing less. And instituting these restrictions today for the public health of the residents of Baltimore, I am committing to you, the people of Baltimore, that I will be here every week to bring you the necessary information as we continue to battle this pandemic, with the hope that you will make informed decisions for you and your family." Brandon Scott, 36, sworn in to office earlier this week, was joined by other city officials to discuss the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic in the city of Baltimore. Baltimore is still in a pandemic. To be quite honest, some of us aren't acting like it. That's what the mayor said. I agree. I know that COVID fatigue is real and has been beginning to settle in on many, but we must remain vigilant. Please be very clear, Brandon Scott said. COVID doesn't get tired. COVID doesn't take days off. And COVID doesn't care how you want to go back to normal. It's actively looking to infect us all. The mayor's right. As many people maybe don't want to hear this, but he's right. COVID does not take any days off. We must remain vigilant. So he's talking about the city of Baltimore being proactive in seeking ways to support the restaurant community of Baltimore. Grants totaling $5.5 million were awarded to the city to support small businesses. The city has given 235 grants totaling $2.8 million to restaurants, carry-out establishments, bars, taverns in Baltimore. 30% of these grants went to restaurants that received zero federal or state funds intended to provide relief to the small business. Now, you may have a business, right? Where's your money? Where's your grant money, right? In addition to the $6.5 million in grants that will be awarded starting next week by the state of Maryland to support Baltimore's restaurants and public markets. I want to see who gets this money. I want to see what businesses get this money, because when it comes to the approval and the releasing of this money, it always looks real funny to me. How many Black business owners are getting this money. Baltimore City has reported a total of 26,897 coronavirus cases since the start of the pandemic. Baltimore City has had 585 deaths. Baltimore City. The city saw 304 new cases overnight and 11 deaths. State of Maryland saw its highest hospitalizations ever yesterday. So who's driving these numbers? According to the mayor, people ages 20 to 39 are driving these numbers up. Reckless behavior? Yeah. Definitely. Reckless behavior. So the mayor continued calling out his generation, saying that the 20 to 39-year-olds may not be the ones dying, but the reality is we can spread it to others. Think about our parents and grandparents' generation. Think about how much they are dying by the hundreds, and your inability or unwillingness to make the sacrifices necessary or act responsibly as an adult can mean that your grandmother, your father, your grandfather will not be here. That's how serious this is. Tough words from Brandon Scott, and I think it's words that need to be heard. Clearly, these are not words that the former mayor said during his lame duck time. It's like we didn't even have a mayor in 2020. We're just getting a mayor now because, the former mayor, what was he doing? I mean, what was he doing? So, these restrictions being put in place. Brandon Scott talked about hookah bars, hookah lounge. He said the hookah bar can wait. That brunch can wait. We have to keep our family and our people that we love alive. If we want to stop the surge in cases, we have to be cautious and change our behavior. I agree with this. Now, listen, I understand this is not what many people want to hear. This is not what's best for business, right? But if you and your customers are gone, there is no business. There is no business. Now, let's not be naive to the challenges that we are facing. Okay? As for the COVID-19 pandemic, we must be, you hear it, vigilant. They say it all the time, vigilant. You got to be vigilant. And we have to ensure every Baltimorean wears a mask. You have to ensure that. The mayor says that he wants to make sure that every Baltimorean can get tested and have access to the vaccine. Our decisions will not always be easy, he said, and often will feel harsh, but they will always be guarded by the advice of public health officials. So yes, this current restriction announcement is not going to be something that a lot of people are happy about, because you have bills, right? My thing is that with Congress getting ready to take their vacation, their Christmas vacation, the fact that they've been able to pass money for the military, who doesn't need it, no problem. They passed that, but they are still squabbling about giving the people's money for relief during this pandemic. You need to hold all these people accountable that are in Congress right now. You need to remember this. You know how you say keep the same energy? Y'all need to remember this. They could give the people the money. They could. But there are ulterior motives, and they are trying to do the bidding of their donors, the big donors, not the $25 donors, but the big donors that are pulling the strings. And they want to attach things onto the bills and make the bills so complicated. But the people are suffering. In many instances, that's why people are violating some of these rules and some of these regulations. And then on the other hand, you have some of these people, many of them the same people, downplaying the pandemic. These major corporations, they have enough money to help out in this. Many of these major corporations, the Walmarts, the Amazons, et cetera, they've made more money during the pandemic than many of them have at all. Some businesses are making out in this pandemic, and the small businesses are the ones that have to close. And then when money has been going around, these same big, huge businesses have been getting grants from the government. It's crazy, right? So I understand why people are upset. I do. It's about accountability as well. Now, yes, there are two things at play here. We have to hold these government officials accountable because they're playing games, talking out of both sides of their neck. People in Congress I'm talking about. And then on the other hand, they're downplaying the seriousness of this. So we have to read between the lines. We have to see what's really going on and make decisions for ourselves. But at the same time, follow some of these regulations that do make sense. As it relates to Maryland, right? All 24 Maryland jurisdictions, including Baltimore City, are in the COVID red zone for case rates. Let me say that again. All 24 Maryland jurisdictions, including Baltimore City, are in the COVID red zone for case rates. Right? It's serious. And yes, everybody who gets COVID is not going to die. But many are. Many are. And you cannot be so heartless, so ignorant that you do not care about others who could die from this. Right? It is clear that we are experiencing a post-Thanksgiving surge. This is the surge that they were talking about. After all of you people that couldn't wait, had to go to Thanksgiving and behave irresponsibly, this is the post-Thanksgiving surge. Thank you. You had to do it, right? You had to do it. The worst days of this pandemic, sadly, are still ahead of us. The worst days are still ahead of us. Maryland, the state, has had 20 straight days with more than 2,000 cases. 20 straight days. And for the first time since this pandemic has begun, all of our jurisdictions are in the red zone. So the governor spoke today, and he did not add any new restrictions, and he resisted the call from local leaders to add on some statewide restrictions. Many Republicans don't want to add on restrictions. They want to use recommendations, and I think that weakness is part of the reason why we are in this situation. If our government officials had buckled down, made some things mandatory, yeah, some people are going to be upset. Okay. Some people are going to be upset, or some people upset they got to follow the speed limit, right? But the rules are the rules. And if our government officials would make some demands, and they want to enforce the dumb stuff, the futile, the silly stuff. But when it comes to the life-saving stuff, then they're a bunch of pansies and wusses. Ooh, the people may be upset with me. I mean, whatever. Hospitalizations, as I said, reaching an all-time pandemic high. And then again, that was yesterday. Then again today, same thing. Over 1,700 Marylanders are hospitalized. I know some people that are in the hospital. But of course, many politicians, I'm just going to make some recommendations. And then when you have city officials making some demands, but then the state officials kind of, half-stepping, it creates this opportunity for spread, opportunity for confusion. More than 1 out of every 3 Marylanders either has diabetes or pre-diabetic, which puts them at a much greater risk for the virus. So when we talk about it, people with ailments, men and women with, conditions, they're more susceptible to this. Right? The number one comorbidity for people who fall seriously ill with coronavirus is diabetes. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. So just tune in. It's your man Diamond K in here. RadioOnFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. And we're talking about COVID-19 in Baltimore, restrictions that have been laid out by the mayor. And we've also been talking about Governor Hogan's announcements, but not much more of that. Just kind of an update that he gave. Now, interestingly, the governor said with regards to local plans to close dining in Baltimore City and Anne Arundel County, he says it does not compute with the advice he's received. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The governor gets on TV. The governor, who is a cancer survivor, right? Very susceptible to this, gets on TV and he says, I don't know where the decision came from. Like, why are you doing this? It's so confusing to me. What? Making restrictions indoors, do you say? This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about that confuses the people, right? Is it dangerous or is it not dangerous? Should people be indoors or not? Because I've heard Governor Hogan say the same things that I heard Brandon Scott say, but today the governor says, "What? I do declare. What are you talking about? Why are they doing this?" And then he'll turn around, the governor, on the other hand, and say that, the hospitalizations at an all-time high, talk about this post-Thanksgiving surge that we're facing, but he doesn't understand why Baltimore City and Anne Arundel County are closing businesses and tightening restrictions. He don't understand. He doesn't understand. Well, if you understand, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Let's do this. Take a quick break, and let's come back with more of the program. What's going on? It's your man Diamond K. We are back. RadioFire.com, the Diamond K Show.com. So I was talking about on the other side, COVID-19, the government's lopsided and in many cases impotent response to this crisis. Congress has been, Mitch McConnell, this human piece of waste walking around, pretty much torpedoed this emerging COVID-19 deal. What was going to be some bill, a $900 billion COVID-19 aid package from a bipartisan, that means Democrat and Republican, group of lawmakers, it collapsed after this human piece of feces. Mitch McConnell said that Republican senators won't support the $160 billion in state and local funds as part of the potential trade-off in the deal. So he's feeling himself now because he's been reelected. I thought that the election was fraud, but of course he was reelected in the same election that he's saying that Donald Trump has a right to say is fraudulent. Go figure. This is the same kind of double talk that I'm saying confuses the American people. The hypocrisy of the average politician is maddening. But anyway, Mitch McConnell and his staff conveyed to the top negotiators that the Republican leader sees no path to an agreement on a key aspect of the lawmakers' existing proposal. This is something that the American people needs, and he is still playing games. A slimmed down version of the liability shield. What does that mean? The liability shield. So companies and organizations that could be facing lawsuits because it endangered its employees. This is something that Mitch McConnell feels strongly about. He wants to make sure that organizations and companies are protected from their employees suing them for the fact that the employees or the companies, the employers and the companies endangered the employees. So his goal is to protect the businesses, not the people who elected him, because he feels no loyalty to the people. Right? And he's criticized, listen to this, Mitch McConnell criticizing what he called state bailouts, controversial state bailouts. Oh, but he'll bail out a company that gave to his campaign in a New York minute. So, y'all reelected him, and this is what we get. So now he's feeling himself, taking a hard stand. Oh, he think he hard now, right? So he's taking his hardened stance. He does not appear to have enough votes from his Republican majority for a far-reaching compromise, and the stalemate continues. The stalemate continues as we are heading into the Christmas holiday, and these lawmakers are going to come home for the holidays. They're going to be feeling good. They got their money. They're sitting, living in the lap of luxury, while their constituents, the majority of their constituents, are feeling it, feeling the pinch. So the office of Mitch McConnell confirming that it is unlikely that the trade-off proposed by this group of Democrats and Republicans is going to be acceptable. When we talk about the Senate, This is why Republicans cannot keep control of the Senate if we want things to get anywhere back to normal. Because the priorities of the Republicans is not for the American people. It's for businesses, but not the constituents. No, it's not. So this Georgia Senate race is so important. It is so important. Perdue, Loeffler, they're clowns. And they need to be gone. Georgia, we are depending on you to get us through and get these Democrats elected. Let's do this. Take a quick break. Come back. Check out this.
As a mom, I have to talk to my son about the way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he walks, making sure that he doesn't put his hood on his head. Someone may see him as a threat just because of the color of his skin. They don't know that he's a straight A and B student. They don't know that he loves to help his little sister. Instead of college talk, we're talking about coming home alive. The most important thing that we can do is to get out and vote. Jon Ossoff is going to fight for a new Civil Rights Act to stop police brutality and racial profiling. We need Jon Ossoff in the Senate. When I say he's not a typical candidate, he's not. He really cares about people. Right now, we have the power to start making change. Early voting starts on December the 14th. Make sure you vote.
I'm Jon Ossoff, and I approve this message.
Raphael Warnock grew up in a house full of brothers and sisters. His parents taught him the value of hard work, like me.
Like me, he was first in his family to graduate from college and went on to earn a PhD.
He thinks insurance companies should not be allowed to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, like me.
Like me, Reverend Warnock knows that both parties in Washington could use some moral leadership.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message because it's time we had a senator who put Georgians first, like me.
And we are back. Your man Diamond K in here. RadioOnFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. And I'm here daily, mornings and evenings, giving you my take on the news, politics, entertainment, what have you. Mainstream media often misrepresents, often promotes lies because of the corporations that own them. Radio on Fire provides unapologetic, progressive news coverage and opinion. Our outlet challenges the establishment and provides a platform for people to demand positive change while speaking truth to power. So, of course, RadioOnFire.com, as I said, is where you go. YouTube.com/DJ Diamond K. YouTube.com/Radio on Fire. So America is set to execute the first of 5 inmates before Joe Biden takes office. Trump administration, we talked about this earlier this week. The Trump administration is planning on an unprecedented 5 more federal executions. 5 more. This is before Joe Biden even takes office. Starting with a Texas street gang member who is set to be put to death for his role in the 1999 slaying of an Iowa couple whose bodies he burned in the trunk of their car. Brandon Bernard was 18 when he and 4 other teenagers abducted and robbed Todd and Stacy Bagley on their way from a Sunday service in Killeen, Texas. He would be the 9th federal inmate put to death since July when Donald Trump ended the 17-year hiatus on federal executions. Bernard is now 40 years old, and if he receives the lethal injection as planned, in prison he is in Indiana. It would be a rare execution of a person who was in his teens when the crime was committed. So there has been a groundswell of celebrities, including, of course, Kim K, who are pushing for the execution to be halted. Kim Kardashian said that she'd spoken to Bernard, the hardest call she's ever had. And she said that Brandon is selfless and as always was focused on his family and making sure that they were okay. Kim Kardashian said that he told me not to cry because our fight isn't over. And just before this execution was scheduled, Bernard's attorneys filed paperwork with the Supreme Court trying to stop the execution. The legal team expanded to include two very high-profile attorneys. But I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. Sadly, Bernard has been in prison and even launched a crocheting group. So they're making blankets and sweaters and hats. It's something. So wherever you sit with regards to the death penalty, I think that the fact that this has been halted and just started again by Trump, someone who has been accused of numerous crimes. He is the one that is pushing the Justice Department forward. The Justice Department has refused to delay the execution of Bernard. Another inmate on Friday, 3 more in January. This is something else. It's like they're trying to get this done before Biden, comes in, because he probably would not do this. So if you think that Donald Trump's going to spare any of these inmates' lives, I just don't know. I don't know what to tell you. The federal prosecutor, who now wants a life term for Bernard, says that recent research shows people tend to view blacks as more to blame than their white counterparts when the facts surrounding a crime are the same, and that young black men are less likely to be given benefits of the doubt by jurors because of their lack of immaturity. So that's where we are, and it is. I would much rather see this gentleman get life, but it is not up to me. It is not up to me at all. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Donald Trump cannot get out of office fast enough for me. And many people don't seem to understand the type of effect that he has had on this country. It's going to take years to undo some of the foolishness that this guy has done. Years from now, they're still going to be finding out stuff that he did that we don't even know about yet. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to be back with more stories the next hour. Stay tuned, y'all.